interesting development earlier today because the first prosecution witness has been testifying, alleging minutes said to reflect board approval for payment is inaccurate. A former board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund has testified in the Sky Train trial earlier today. He told an Accra High Court the board did not consider or approve payment for this said deal. So, who approved the payment of the $2 million, and how exactly and where exactly did this $2 million specifically land in terms of the money and who approved its disbursement? Dennis Pobera Esquire is joining me in the studio. You've been following this case quite closely. You were in court earlier today. What transpired?
Yes, well, so trial has started in this particular matter, and that is the infamous $2 million Accra Sky Train project, which was supposed to have been carried out by the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, GIF. Now, we do know that as part of the proceedings that have been ongoing, there have been some interlocutory matters. That is to say, they are making some applications in between, seeking to get more information. The last time we had a conversation about this was the fact that the CEO, who is one of the accused persons in this, the former CEO, rather, of GIF, Solomon Asamoah, had gone to the Court of Appeal. That's because at the High Court, he had requested that the prosecution should disclose board meetings, because the whole crux of prosecution's case is that you made a payment of $2 million for a Sky Train, which never happened. This prosecution says that was done without the approval of the board.
Yeah.
So he makes an application to the High Court that if you disclose the board minutes, we would see that indeed there was some conversation about this particular project. That was refused. He went to the Court of Appeal. That was also dismissed. Now they are back to the High Court for the main trial. Now, the first witness for prosecution is in the box, and this is what he testifies about. That is Yao Odamidakwa. He says that the only time he, as a board member, became aware of the said $2 million payment made was through the Auditor General's reports.
I see. That was after the fact.
But keep in mind, prosecution's case is that you made payment of $2 million for a Sky Train, which did not have the board's approval. Now, this is a former board member testifying that the only time he became aware of this payment was in an Auditor General's reports.
That was even at the end of that audit year.
Exactly.
I see.
He goes on to also testify that due diligence reports should have been presented to the board for approval before payment. So this is somebody who is testifying in respect of his knowledge of the operations of the board. And he says in respect of such things, due diligence reports should have been presented for the board to approve before the payment. He also testifies to the fact that board minutes said to show deliberations concerning Sky Train project not accurate. Now, this is the same matter that the former CEO, Solomon Asamoah, had requested for disclosure of the board minutes.
True.
Because his contention is that if such disclosures were made, then they would see the conversation at the board level regarding this particular project. But this former board member says that that suggestion is not accurate. He also goes on to testify to the fact that the board did not deliberate or take any decision on that particular project.
They didn't take any decision on it.
That's what he says. So the big question is, how did that money get paid? He also says that no funding was approved by the board for the project. And these are the key areas that he's been testifying about in respect of the matters that have to do with this Sky Train trial. Remember, he's a former board member. So if anything happened at the board level, the understanding is that he ought to have been a part of it, or he ought to have some knowledge about the operations of the board. But this is what he says. There are facts within his knowledge for the purpose of this particular trial, Alfred. So we're keeping eyes on this particular one, together with other matters which are also running, and we'll keep our viewers updated as and when we get the information. Indeed,
because this is a no-brainer. I mean, if the board did not deliberate or take any decision on this Sky Train project, obviously they will not be aware of any payment or approval for disbursement of monies.
Well, so that's what he says.
That's the base of the issue at play right now.
But it doesn't end here. he will undergo cross-examination. So that is also another leg to look out for.
Which, in this case, the accused will now have the opportunity.
Yes, to cross-examine this witness, to test the veracity or the veracity of these statements that have been made, or the credibility of this particular person.
I do appreciate you. Thank you.